Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. Mine's been awesome, and I'm wondering, is the Dallas field Jebaiting us? We got Jayne on Twitter posting weird eyes. We got Aero posting weird eyes on Twitter. We got McGravy posting weird eyes on Twitter. They're all posting these just one tweet emojis, and it's confusing. Does this mean McGravy's joining, or are they just Jebaiting us? It's honestly also crazy, and I don't know what's going on, boys. I just want some Overwatch League news to drop, especially from the Dallas field. It is currently 12:48 p.m. Pacific time, Thursday, August 30th, and they said Dallas field roster changes will be rolling out this week. That was Sunday. It's 5 days later, practically. Like, what are you waiting for the next Sunday? You waiting 7 days? Like, come on, you said this week, not weekend. Where's the juice, boys? I know, I probably sound a bit frustrated right now, but I should be. Where's the juice? Dallas field promised us. So, I don't know what's going on. We're going to take a look at some of those tweets and I guess try to decipher whether or not Dallas field is actually baiting us. Is McGravy joining? I have no idea. We're going to decipher it. We have to get to the bottom of this and figure out when is the juice coming. We're also going to be taking a look at Aero's AMA that he did on Reddit. He answered a whole bunch of questions about the Dallas field, about Seagull leaving the team. Just a ton of information is all over that thread. I'm going to be sifting through it and giving you guys the best information from it. So if you guys are excited for this video and you just want the Dallas field to drop some damn news, be sure to drop a like on the video. Also, comment down below letting me know if you're frustrated and you want the juice from the field ASAP as well. And lastly, click the red subscription box if you guys want to stay updated instantly on anything in Overwatch League. So if you guys want to know when Dallas field do make those roster changes, I will upload a video about an hour after it happens. It'll be almost instantly, and you guys will all know, but you have to have notifications on if you want to know when it happens. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and figure out if the Dallas field are Jebaiting us about McGravy. So McGravy tweeted this out around 8 p.m. Pacific time last night. And then guess who responded to it this morning? Jayne, with the eye emoji. And yeah, why? Why are we doing so many eye emojis? It's gotta mean something, right? Like, there's no reason for them to just Jebait us. If they did, that would be like toxic as hell. I'd be pissed. I know a lot of other fans would be pissed, so I just don't get it. And then Apply from the Florida Mayhem Academy roster, he said something pretty funny. He said he's just going to put eyes like he knows what it is. And everybody else from like Gladiators Legion were starting to leave eyes. We have Blase, Gods, Adam, then Zombs as well. Like, so many players, and I don't know, man. I feel like we're getting Jebaited for sure. But then again, 27 minutes ago, guys, literally at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time today, McGravy posted an emoji with a zipper mouth face, and guess who responded? Dante, and he said, "Everyone knows you're joining the GOATs, stop baiting." He's obviously not joining the GOATs. He's joining the Dallas field. He has to be. I just don't see the reason why they would want to bait this much. It just doesn't make sense in my head. Like, of course he's gonna join, right? It's not like they have anything to hide. He's one of their academy players, and they're just hyping it up, I feel like. So he's gotta be going up. He has to be. Aero on Team USA, Jayne is his assistant coach, and he's tweeting to him, posting, you know, weird eyes. Then McGravy, like, it's 100% happening, boys. I'm calling it right now. I think from these tweets, McGravy is going to be joining the Dallas field. There's no way he doesn't. I feel like if they were baiting us all, they would realize, like, this isn't the smartest thing to do, because if they don't pick up McGravy, a lot of people would probably be upset. At least that's what makes sense in my head. So it can't be a debate, guys. McGravy is 100% going to be joining the Dallas field starting roster. Now, who knows? I could be wrong, and they could be Jebaiting us. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Dallas field if they're Jebaiting us, guys. It ain't my fault. I just want to see McGravy join, and I want to see all the other roster changes. So be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you guys think they're baiting us or not. And now let's go ahead and move on to the AMA from Aero earlier. Alright, so starting off with one of the very first questions. It's actually a really good one, and it comes from Lost in Industry. He says this: what has been the most difficult hurdle you have faced so far to improve the Dallas field after the underperformance in Season 1? You are also a great human being, and I love you. Aero responded and said, thank you. The biggest hurdle for any team to overcome is broken trust. When things go downhill, it's normal to question a teammate's motives or assume that he/she isn't as invested as they once were. I view trust like a brick wall. It takes 1,000 of bricks to build it, but one hammer can bring it down. It's the reason why winning teams can carry momentum and new teams have honeymoon phases, and why it often takes a monumental shift for a losing team to start winning again. I can safely say Dallas Field's brick wall is large and stable. Great response there from Aero, and honestly, he's really smart, man. Just going through this AMA shows how in-depth he understands coaching and how much he cares about it. Like, he really loves and enjoys his job, and he wants nothing more than to just see his players succeed, which is amazing. And you guys will definitely notice that as we continue on. Here's a funny one real quick. Some guy asked, "What do you think of Jack in the Box?" Aero says, "There's no greater food establishment." Pretty funny, not gonna lie. And then moving on to a really good question. This actually comes from Reinforced, an Overwatch League analyst. He asked Aero this: "As someone who has returned to pro play recently, after competing in early days, I would say the biggest difference is that in general players are a lot smarter. Specifically players in the Overwatch League due to the number of coaches at their disposal. What advice would you have for an up-and-coming contenders player who has great mechanics but lack game sense for such things as positioning, counterpicking, and adapting your play to enemy composition? In my opinion, there is a lot of contenders players who look incredibly impressive due to their mechanics, but when you pick their brain, it's apparent that they don't have the smarts it takes for them to take the next step to the Overwatch League. How do you help these talents fulfill their potential and prepare them for the big leagues?" And then Aero, honestly with an amazing in-depth response, he said this: "My man, great question. I'll do my best to keep the answer short and sweet, but there's a lot of depth to this. Study, theorize, apply, review, study. If you're a player trying to learn on your own, try to follow this. If you're a coach, help your players structure this into their practice time and hold them accountable to it. There's a reason why teachers have a syllabus or a set curriculum prior to start of your classes. It's the plan/roadmap to get to the destination. In this case, the destination is knowledge. Record your own gameplay and watch it back, and then look at the gameplay from professionals. Decide what area you're going to try and get better at, write it down. If you stay focused on one area at a time, you'll get there eventually. If you're working on decision making regarding when to pin on Reinhardt, look at your VODs and watch every instance of when you pinned. Did it work out? Yes. Why? No. Why? Figure that answer out. Not every clip will have all the details you need, so pull resources from the streams, scrims, etc., and then use all the data to decide. It's one thing to have VODs, and it's another thing to use them. Focus on improving yourself and results will follow. If you focus on results, then improvement will never come. I always look at the scientific method. Control as many variables as you can. Review and reflect. Take the time to write things down, reflect on them. If you binge info and never touch on it again, you will eventually lose it. It's one of the common issues in the American school system. Oftentimes, students are taught to pass a test, not taught how to master the material. If you learn how to master a technique, you will be unstoppable. Lastly, do not rush it. It takes time. Take baby steps, master one piece at a time. Whether it's tangible or intangible, it'll stick with you forever. I hope this answered your question. I could talk about this sort of thing all day. Wow, as I said, very in-depth, really good advice for players looking to come up and coaches possibly wanting to get into the game. He really does just stress the importance of reviewing your own VODs. Like, if you want to improve, you have to watch yourself, then compare it to professionals, see what they're doing that you're not doing, and try to implement that in your game. Focus on one thing at a time, don't get overboard. And one thing is, like, you don't have a coach. You have to be your own coach. If you're not in the Overwatch League, no one's going to help you. So you have to do the extra things as an individual player to help yourself improve, which is looking at VODs, looking at the pros. You have to hold yourself accountable, like Aero said. And now let's move on to the next one. And this one's a real good one about Seagull. How did the field, staff, and players take Seagull's retirement? What's the biggest way his absence will be felt throughout the team? Thank you for doing this and best of luck next week, Dad. Aero responded, he said this: "No one wanted to see him go from a team perspective, but we understood his reasons. While I definitely wanted him to stay, I'll always support his decisions and keep in touch, should he ever need me. Brandon was a key part of our success during Stage 4. His mind for the game is second to none. The players trusted any call he'd make, and he was a great personality to have in scrims/review. It takes an extremely smart player to pick up and master D.Va in such a short period of time." So Aero showing respect to Seagull, and honestly, it's all true. It's insane how Seagull was able to pick up D.Va. He's just one of the most in-tune players when it comes to the game. He can play anything at the highest level no matter what. All he has to do is put a little bit practice on it. And I guess, Stage 4 was a good send-off for Seagull. They did really well. They made it to the semifinals of the Stage stage playoffs. If Seagull were have to retire during stage 3, then I would feel devastated. I'd feel like it was the most unfortunate thing ever, but I guess I kind of have peace at mind since they did have the stage 4 run that they had. Anyways, let's go and move on to the next question. And this is good. It's 3 questions in one. He asked this: what was the general atmosphere or the locker room when you joined Fuel? The answer to this from Aero was, it was clear that every player cared and wanted to get back to form, but no one knew actually how to do that. So there was a constant clash of ideas and disconnect in communication. The second question is, have you ever tried to convince Seagull to stay on the team, and was that decision made even before you joined the team? Yes, he and I talked in depth about his decision. He knows that I'll support him in whatever he does. I'll pass the buck to Seagull on that one though to see if he wants to answer that question, if he made the decision to retire before he joined the team. Now, this answer makes me think that Seagull did make the decision to retire before Aero joined. Moving on to the third and final question, what made you decide to bring Jayne into the team, and what does he bring to the table? Is he more of an analyst or a coach? Aero's response was, one of my personal goals during stage 4 was to establish a structure that I felt would not last just through season 2, but also season 3, 4, and etc. My top priority in doing so was to create a support staff structure that I felt could grow with the demands of Overwatch League. I spent hours reviewing various types of existing structures in both esports and traditional sports settings, and decided to land on one that including not just a head coach and a strategy coach, but also a role and area coach. Think about how the NBA will have shooting coaches, defense coaches, etc. Jayne and Takati both will have a specific area to focus on and will both be answering to me on a daily basis to ensure the flow of communication is as smooth as possible. With all that said, Jayne's work during his tryout period was exactly what I was looking for in the role that he will fill. His ability to critically think problems, organize plans, and structure to tackle said problems, and his overall professionalism and demeanor when working with individuals in a private setting is what I was looking for. So a bunch of really good questions and answers there, giving us a lot of insight on Jayne, the team overall, and Seagull. Another good one, what was it like moving from the best NA contenders team, bar none, to one of the widely considered bottom 3 Overwatch League teams at the time? Aero responded, I very much enjoy working on new challenges. What Fusion University needed from a coach was vastly different from what the Fuel needed from a coach. Fuel's situation was one that I felt extremely confident going into, and I love any opportunity to prove myself. That's a great response. I love how Aero just accepted the challenge of Fuel and knew that he could come out on top, and I can only imagine how much work he actually put in trying to fix this team's trust, their bond. It must have been honestly one of the hardest things he's ever done, but he did it, which is insane. Another good question about expansion teams. So this was asked, do you think expansion teams should look to pick up an entire team's core or get a mixture of teams? Aero responded, I think it's best to start with a core. Use your resources to find a group of players that have already been through thick and thin with results backing them. Then use the rest of your tryouts to find players to fill any gaps. Really good response there. I agree with him. I think if you could find a strong core of like 5-6 players who have been through a lot together and have proven results, they'll definitely perform for you in the league. I mean, look at New York, look at London, look at all the teams that have had histories in the past. Even Houston did pretty good. One that did fail though, interestingly enough, was the Dallas Fuel, but that was terrible coaching and just unfortunate circumstances. Moving on to the next one, another one about Jayne. Did you approach Jayne to be your assistant coach or did he come to you? Aero responded, I approached a handful of candidates, Jayne being one of them. Everyone interviewed and did a tryout. After seeing his non-stream work, I felt that he would fill the position. Role-based performance coach, the best. I'll add to this a bit. The decision to hire Jayne was mine. Based on the merits of his work during his tryout phase, while I won't go into details, I'd keep in mind that a personality on stream is different from a personality in a professional work environment. This reminds me of someone like XQC or even myself who might be, loud and annoying on their stream, but in a work environment is very professional and will try their best to succeed and do the best for the team every time. And there's also this really good question. How upset would you be if you lose to Canada? Aero responded, I can't answer that. We won't lose. So Aero seems to be really confident about beating Team Canada. Honestly, I cannot wait, guys. September 7th. We're like 9 days away. It's about to go down. And then a good question about what made Aero want to become a coach. Guy asked this, what led you to become a coach? How do you personally make hard decisions, not just in Overwatch, but in life generally? Aero responded, it's always important to find the balance of logic versus emotion, because every ounce of data will be amplified by your life priorities. I personally view my overall happiness / inner joy as my top priority. Not in the moment happiness, but looking at a long-term happiness. I knew that if I didn't pursue Overwatch, I'd be unhappy years down the road. However, I also had a plan B and a plan C should my Overwatch career fail. Figure out what your priorities are in real life, then separate your emotions, weigh the pros and cons, mix in how you feel about the situation, both good and bad situations, and see if your projected outcomes change. So really good life advice there, just in general, man. Like, if you just have to make a tough life decision, whatever it is, like left or right, really, this is good advice for that. Aero, man, this guy's a beast, honestly. And then this last question we'll go ahead and end it off with, which just shows like how much Aero actually does care about his players and team. It was this: what motivated you to join Dallas when they were at such a low point? Aero responded, I knew that Dallas wasn't a bottom tier team, and I saw it as an opportunity to both help the players/team get back up as well as an opportunity to prove myself. And damn, yeah, just mad respect for Aero, guys. He answered a whole bunch of questions in this entire AMA. I will link it in the description down below. Hopefully I don't forget. I will try my best not to. So you guys can go ahead and look at it, view any of the questions you want. I tried to cover the really important ones, or at least the best ones. He gave us a ton of information. He opened up about Seagull retiring, picking up Jayne as a coach, a little bit about expansion teams and how to pick up a roster, how to improve as an individual player if you're looking to go pro, as a coach. Just so much good stuff in this AMA, man. Aero's a smart guy. He's really awesome, and if you guys agree with that, be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the whole AMA and just in general this whole video. Be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to stay updated on anything Overwatch League, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, I upload videos like this every single day, so be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. And I guess that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.